Good morning, students. This is the sixth lecture for NMR spectroscopy. We are going to discuss, or we are going to study about the examples, some more examples under fluxinality and fluxinal behavior. In the previous class, we discussed about the fluxinality and fluxinal behavior, and we applied the fluxinal, and we established the fluxinal nature of bulvalin with the NMR spectroscopy. Now, there are remaining three examples. The another example under fluxinal behavior is a hepticity 5 C5H5 M. Hepticity 5. Now here this is the example where the metal ion is bound with the cyclopentadienyl cation. Cyclopentadienyl cation C5H5. One cyclopentadienyl cation, one metal ion. And where hepticity 5 stands for, the metal may be bound to either first carbon or second carbon or third carbon or fourth carbon or fifth carbon. So the metal ion may be attached among all the carbons of cyclopentadienyl cation. Say its structure. This is hydrogen. Say this is metal ion. If we write the structure in this way, where the metal ion, say this is first carbon, this is second carbon, this is third carbon, this is fourth, and this is fifth, where the metal ion is a fixed, metal ion is bound with a first carbon only. But the hepticity 5 shows it has a hybrid structure. That is a cyclopentadienyl bound with a metal ion through an hybrid structure. This is the structure. So a metal ion may be attached with this carbon, or with this carbon, or with this carbon, or with this carbon, or that is say first carbon or second carbon, third carbon or fourth carbon or fifth carbon. Is it clear? Now, it's a NMR spectrum when recorded at room temperature. When recorded at room temperature, RT, where there are 5 hydrogen, 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, 3 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen, first carbon here 1 hydrogen. Now there are 5 hydrogen. When recorded at room temperature, it gives only one signal at room temperature. One signal. The same molecule when recorded at higher temperature, lower temperature. The same molecule when recorded at lower temperature, the same molecule appear with the 3 signals, 3 separate signals. Now there are 3 signals appear at lower temperature, low temperature. What happens? Now at low temperature, where at room temperature, that is higher temperature, the metal ion may be attached among the 5 carbons. That is the metal ion is rapidly exchanged. When temperature is high, the metal ion is rapidly exchanged from first position to second, or from second to third, or third to fourth, or fourth to fifth. So the the exchange of metal ion among the 5 carbons are so fast that this exchange make all the 5 protons become equivalent. Therefore one signal appear. When the temperature is less, lower temperature, there is no exchange of metal ion from one position to the other position. That is, a metal ion may be confined to any one carbon of cyclopentadienyl cation. Are you following? When the temperature is high, the metal ion get exchanged among the 5 carbons. It may be sometimes on first carbon or sometimes on second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, and as well as fifth carbon. Is it clear? Now, at lower temperature, what happens? There is no, when the temperature is less, there is no exchange of a metal ion from one position to the other position. Means a metal ion is confined to any one carbon atom. So that what happens? When metal ion is confined to any one carbon atom, what happens? You see, that is, say for example, this is the situation at lower temperature. So metal ion is confined to only one carbon. So in that case, you see what happens. These two protons become alpha with respect to metal. These two protons become beta with respect to metal. This is the proton attached with sp3 carbon. Now initially there are two type of protons, a proton of sp3, proton of sp2. Because of a rapid exchange of metal ion among the 5 carbons, all protons become equivalent. There is no exact sp3 carbon, there is no exact sp2 carbon. Now when the temperature is less, what happens? Under the lower temperature, a metal ion is confined to any one carbon. Under that situation, where the two protons become alpha, the other two protons become beta, and this proton is attached with sp3 carbon. So there are three non-equivalents. One proton of sp3, two sp2 protons alpha, two sp2 protons beta. So this is sp2 proton signal, sp2 proton signal, sp3 proton signal. Is it clear? Now this is a sp3 proton signal appear at upper field value, the remaining sp2 protons appear at, as usual, at lower delta value. So at lower temperature it gives the 3 signal. Is it clear? Now at higher temperature, one signal appearance supported, there is a exchange of metal ion among the 5 carbons from sp3 carbon to sp2 carbon, from sp2 carbon to sp3 carbon. So when there is an exchange, so one signal at room temperature is possible if there is an exchange of metal ion. If the metal ion get exchanged among the 5 carbons, called as fluxinal behavior, the molecule is said to be fluxinal molecule. So with the help of NMR spectra, we can study the fluxinality of the molecules. Now under the same, you have to study two more examples. Another example, hepticity 5, C5H5, 2 ligand bound with titanium through hepticity 1, C5H5, 2 ligands. Is it clear? Now you observe, there are 4 cyclopentadienyl cation. C5H5 2 times here, 2 ligands, C5H5 2 ligands, total 4 ligands. So the central titanium atom or metal is bound with 4 ligands of cyclopentadienyl cation. In first 2 ligands bound with the titanium through the 5 carbons, because the hepticity is 5. Now the remaining 2 ligands of cyclopentadienyl cation bound with the titanium through any one of the 5 carbons, that is hepticity 1. So its structure is titanium. It has a square planar structure, surrounded with the 4 ligands. This is one ligand, this is second ligand, where these 2 ligands contributed their hepticity 5. So these 2 ligands bound to the titanium through their hybrid structure, as the hepticity will be the 5. So the titanium may be attached with any one of the carbon. Then the remaining 2 ligands, These are the remaining two ligands, where these two ligands bound with only one carbon fixed. So these contributed hapticity 1. So this is the exact structure. Now when we record its spectrum at higher temperature, now you see, according to the structure, we can observe there are two sets of protons. A protons attached with sp3 carbon, a protons attached with sp2 carbons. Protons of sp3 carbon, protons of sp2 carbons. According to structure, there are two type of protons, a protons of sp3 and a protons of sp2. But when recorded at room temperature, that is higher temperature, when recorded at higher temperature, one signal is appear irrespective of nature of the proton. What happens? Now at higher, again similar to the previous example, at higher temperature, the each ligand, the hapticity 1 ligand may be exchanged with the hapticity 5 ligand. Hapticity 5 ligand may be exchanged with hapticity 1 ligand. That is, there is a rapid exchange of ligands from hapticity 5 to hapticity 1 or hapticity 1 to hapticity 5. So when there is a rapid exchange from titanium metal ion, what happens? All the protons become equivalent. No sp3, no sp2. So sp3, sp2 protons become equivalent. One signal appears. When recorded at lower temperature, similar to the previous case, we will get the two signals. Two separate signals. One signal for sp3, a protons attached with sp3. Other signal appear for a protons attached to sp2 carbon. So one signal at higher temperature supported there is a exchange of metal ion among the carbons or among the ligands, so that it is a fluxinal behavior. This molecule is also comes under fluxinal molecule. Now another example. Now another example you have in your syllabus. Hapticity 4, C4 C8H8 cyclooctatetraene. Ligand will be the cyclooctatetraene attached with ruthenium CO3. This is the ruthenium complex, where there are 4 ligands. 3 ligands belongs to carbon monoxide, 1 ligand belongs to cyclooctatetraene attached with the ruthenium metal through a 4 carbons. There are 8 carbons in the ligands. It is a cyclooctatetraene. 8 carbons and 4 double bonds. Out of the 4 carbons are contributed in the attachment with ruthenium. Therefore hapticity will be the 4. Now its structure can be written as say, because of hapticity 4, the 4 carbons are contributed in the attachment with bonding with the ruthenium, so that now the 2 pi bonds here, 1 pi bond and 2 pi bonds. Now 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons are contributed in the attachment with ruthenium, and the remaining 4 carbon monoxide, 3 carbon monoxide. So the complex has tetrahedral geometry. The ruthenium central metal ion is bound with carbon monoxide, and carbon monoxide. The other ligand will be the 4 carbons of cyclooctatetraene. Is it clear? Now you see. Now when recorded the NMR spectrum, at higher temperature, it gives only one signal. for all the protons, for all the 8 protons. Now when recorded, now you see, according to the structure, we can distinguish the protons as two sets. A protons on 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons belongs to one set, as these carbons are contributing in the attachment with ruthenium. The protons on other side 1, 2, 3, 4 belongs to the other set. Are you following? So according to the structure, we can distinguish the two sets of protons. A protons on 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons contributed in the attachment with the ruthenium belongs to one set. The proton on 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons belongs to the other set, as these carbons are not contributed to attach with the ruthenium. But at higher temperature, only one signal is appear. However, there are two sets of protons according to this structure. One set from ligand of this side, the other set of protons with 4 hydrogens, the other side, but appear as only one signal, because at higher temperature, it will undergo rapid exchange. That is, the first 4 set of carbons are rapidly exchanged with the second set of 4 carbons, so that you observe the difference. What happens? Both are same. Where in the first structure 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, first 4 set of carbons contributed to attach with ruthenium. In the next structure, the second set of 4 carbons are contributing to attach with ruthenium metal. That is, a metal ion is exchanged from first 4 set of carbon to the next 4 set of carbons. When this exchange is rapid at high temperature, initially we thought that with this structure we would expect there are two sets of protons. The protons attached with 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon belongs to one set. The protons attached with 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons belong to the second set. But what happens? This metal ion is exchanged rapidly from first 4 set of carbon to the next 4 set of carbon, resulted the second structure, which is identical. These two are identical. Now when at room temperature, at a higher temperature, when this rapid exchange is so fast, every hydrogen, so all hydrogen, 8 hydrogens become equivalent, one signal appear. Only one signal appear. Now, when the temperature is decreased, you see what happens. This is the situation at room temperature. When temperature is decreased, the protons, 8 protons are slowly becoming non-equivalent. Now when the temperature is decreased, the exchange is slow down. The exchange of metal ion from first 4 set of carbon to the other 4 set of carbon becomes slow down. When the exchange is slow down, what happens? The hydrogens are becoming slowly as non-equivalent, therefore separated. One, two, three, 4. Further decreasing the temperature, low temperature. As decreasing the temperature from room temperature to below the room temperature, what happens? The exchange is restricted. There is no exchange. That means A protons are slowly becoming non-equivalent. When the protons are becoming slowly non-equivalent, their signals get slowly separated in the spectrum. Further decreasing the temperature, all the signals become separated. Why there are four signals appear? Because at lower temperature, you see, a pair of hydrogens become non-equivalent. Now, these two protons are equivalent, belongs to A set. These two protons are equivalent, belongs to B set. These two protons are equivalent, C set. These two are equivalent, D set. What happens? When the temperature decreases, when the exchange of metal ion is restricted, the protons, a pair of protons become equivalent. These two are equivalent, these two are equivalent, these two are equivalent, these two are equivalent. But these two are non-equivalent from these two, from these two, and from these two. In brief, four non-equivalent protons arise. Therefore, four separate signals appear for A, for B, for C, for D. So the one signal at room temperature supported its fluxinal behavior and a fluxinal molecule. So with this, a fluxinal nature of the molecules will be completed. So and also with this lecture, the proton NMR spectrum syllabus of second semester is completed totally 100%. Now we covered the topics under proton NMR spectra according to your syllabus is first order NMR, first nomenclature, that is designation of nuclei, followed by first order NMR, second order NMR, that is non-first order. Non-first order or second order will be the same. First order NMR, non-first order NMR, simplification of complex NMR spectrum, and application of proton NMR to discriminate the enantiomers. And the fourth topic is fluxinal behavior or fluxinal molecules. So these are the topics included in your syllabus. The total topics will be completed or covered. Now we are shifted to study of fluorine NMR. The one unit consisting of half part belongs to proton NMR. The remaining half part of the syllabus belongs to fluorine NMR and phosphorus NMR. So after completion of proton NMR, we are going to shift to study of fluorine NMR, after that phosphorus NMR. Now fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Principle, introduction and principle. Now the most significant nuclei other than proton present in the organic molecule or molecule belongs to the fluorine, that is 19 fluorine. 19 fluorine with a high natural abundancy. Its natural abundancy is after the proton. The significant spin active nuclei present in the molecule is belonging to a fluorine 19 fluorine. Its natural abundancy is almost 100%. With high gyromagnetic ratio, gamma is equal to 5.02. Similar to proton, it has high gyromagnetic ratio. Similar to proton, its nuclear spin quantum number, that is I is equal to plus or minus 1 by 2. 1 by 2. Therefore, similar to proton nuclei, under appropriate conditions of external magnetic field, are you following? So a fluorine similar to proton nuclei A fluorine nuclei natural abundancy will also 100% together with high gyromagnetic ratio, that is gamma is equal to 5.02, and similar to proton, it has a spin quantum number, nuclear spin quantum number, that is I is equal to plus or minus 1 by 2. Hence, similar to proton NMR, the fluorine NMR under appropriate conditions of external magnetic field, its degenerated energy state is also split into two energy levels according to 2i plus 1 rule, where I is equal to 1 by 2, 2 into 1 by 2 plus 1 resulted at two energy levels. Energy difference between the two energy levels again equal to radio frequency energy or radio frequency radiation. Therefore, under appropriate conditions of external magnetic field, the fluorine nuclei also absorbed energy in the range of radio frequency region of electromagnetic spectrum, and it will undergo spin transition from its lower spin state to the higher spin state and resulted the NMR spectrum. Here the NMR spectrum will be resulted from the nuclei of fluorine. Therefore, it is called as fluorine NMR spectrum or fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Now, the principle involved as well as the method of recording of fluorine NMR spectrum is quite similar to that involved in the proton NMR. The same principles in both cases, and the method of recording is also same, where the proton NMR spectrum is recorded by the process of pulse Fourier transformation technique. Similarly, the fluorine spectrum is also recorded by a PFT technique. So the same principle is involved. There is no difference. Same principle is involved, where the proton is absorbed radio frequency, induced to undergo its spin transition from lower to higher level. Similarly, the fluorine is also induced while absorbing radio frequency energy under the external magnetic field to be undergo spin transition from its lower spin state to higher spin state. So resulted the spectrum. Here the spectrum is resulted from the nuclei of fluorine called as fluorine NMR spectroscopy. That is, you see, say you keep a fluorine instead of hydrogen. This is 19 fluorine nuclei. As it is a spin active nuclei, it spins around its vertical axis. It spins around its vertical axis to be produce certain amount of magnetic field, secondary magnetic field. Now, under this condition, because of rotation of fluorine nuclei equally in either direction, the spinning nuclei has degenerated energy state of I is equal to plus or minus 1 by 2. Plus or minus 1 by 2. When we apply certain amount of external magnetic field to this, what happens? According to 2i plus 1 rule, 2i plus 1 rule, where I is equal to spin quantum number of nuclei under study. Similar to proton, fluorine I value is also 1 by 2. Therefore, two energy levels appear. The two energy levels will be resulted. The degenerated energy state is split into two energy levels. I is equal to minus of minus 1 by 2. I is equal to plus of. I is equal to plus of. Energy difference between these two, that is delta E, is equal to radio frequency energy. Therefore, a fluorine nuclei under appropriate conditions of external magnetic field, it absorbs radio frequency energy to undergo spin transition from lower spin state to the higher spin state, resulted the spectrum called as fluorine NMR. Fluorine NMR. Now you observe, same principle, proton principle and fluorine principle is the same. Same principle is involved in the fluorine as involved in the proton NMR. But the only difference is a nuclei, where in the proton the nuclei belongs to the proton, in the fluorine the nuclei belongs to the fluorine. This is the only difference. The remaining part of the principle is the same. Now, The fluorine NMR spectrum is used for the study of fluorine containing compounds. Fluorine NMR spectrum is useful for the study of fluorine containing compounds. They may be belongs to organic molecule or they may be belongs to inorganic molecules. Similar to proton, it is used for the study of fluorine containing compounds for their structures. Now, coming to chemical shifts. Coming to chemical shifts. Again, similar to proton NMR spectrum, the chemical shifts values for fluorine is also measured in delta and presented in ppm units. But the range of absorption frequency for fluorine is extended from 0.0 to plus 500 and minus 500. Its range is extended from 0.0 to minus 500 plus 500. The fluorine absorption frequencies are lying under in between 0.0 to either minus 500, sometimes 0.0 to plus 500. Is it clear? Where in the proton NMR spectrum, the proton signals are lying or appear in between 0.0 to say 10.0 plus 10. There is no, in rare cases there is a minus values in the absorption frequency. So the proton scale is lying, the proton scale is extended from 0.0 to plus 10 or plus 20, whereas in the fluorine NMR the absorption frequencies of fluorine are lying under in between 0.0 to minus 500 or 0.0 to plus 500. Now the absorption frequencies of fluorine are appear at upper field value when compared with the proton because of its high electron density or number of electrons are more. So fluorine absorption frequencies are appear at high frequency or upper field value, whereas the proton frequencies are appear at downfield values. This is the only difference. So presentation is the same. Absorption frequencies in both cases measured in the delta and presented in the ppm units. What is the difference between these two? The only difference is the absorption frequency for fluorine nuclei appear at upper field value, that is minus ppm value, delta is equal to minus ppm value, whereas the protons are almost appear in the plus ppm values, plus delta is equal to plus ppm values. This is the only difference, upper field for fluorine, downfield for proton, because of high electronegativity or high electron density associated with the fluorine nuclei. The remaining part is same. Now coming to the coupling constants. The coupling constant J in Hertz. What is coupling constant? The distance between any two lines in a multiplet signal is called as a constant. This distance is called as coupling constant. It is measured in Hertz unit as it belongs to the frequency or energy. Now similar to proton nuclei, the fluorine nuclei also coupled. The fluorine nuclei also coupled with each other. That is the fluorine may be coupled. Now in the proton NMR, a proton may be coupled with another proton, its adjacent proton. A coupling interaction between the two spin active nuclei if belongs to the same atom called as homonuclear coupling. Homonuclear couplings. So we are studying about coupling constant. So similar to proton nuclei, the fluorine nuclei is also involved in the spin-spin coupling. Therefore, it resulted some coupling constant. It appear with a multiplet signal or multiplet lines similar to proton. Hence, there is a coupling constant. Now, in proton NMR spectroscopy, where the proton coupled with its adjacent proton, nuclear spin of one proton coupled with the nuclear spin of its adjacent proton. Here, the spin active nuclei involving in the spin coupling belongs to the same atoms, and nuclei of hydrogen, nuclei of hydrogen. So both the nuclei belongs to the hydrogen of the same atom, called as homonuclear coupling. Now, if the nuclear spins are coupled with each other, the nuclei if belongs to the dissimilar atoms, say for example 19 fluorine nuclei coupling with hydrogen nuclei, or 19 fluorine nuclei coupling with phosphorus nuclei, or 19 fluorine nuclei coupling with carbon nuclei. You see what happens. Similar to proton, the fluorine is also involving in the coupling. Fluorine may be coupled with proton nuclear spin, fluorine may be coupled with phosphorus, fluorine may be coupled sometimes with carbon nuclear spin, as proton, phosphorus 31, 13 carbon, all are spin active. Fluorine is spin active, these nuclei also spin active. Now, fluorine is spin active nuclei, the other nuclei are also spin active, like proton 31 phosphorus, carbon 13, first heavy isotopic atom of a carbon is also spin active, therefore coupled. So fluorine may coupled with hydrogen, fluorine may coupled with phosphorus, fluorine may coupled with carbon. Here the coupling interactions between the nuclei belongings to dissimilar atom. A nuclei of fluorine is different from nuclei of proton. Similarly, fluorine nuclei is different from phosphorus nuclei. Fluorine nuclei is different from carbon nuclei. So here the coupling interactions between the nuclei belongings to dissimilar atom. These couplings are called as heteronuclear coupling. Heteronuclear coupling. Heteronuclear couplings. So in proton NMR spectrum, only homonuclear couplings we observed, whereas in the fluorine NMR spectrum, we can observe the heteronuclear couplings. Is it clear? So whatever it may be, either it may be homonuclear or either it may be heteronuclear, both type of couplings resulted a splitting of their signals into multiplet. The splitting of signals belonging to the nuclei which involved in the coupling, either of homonuclear or either of heteronuclear, makes no difference. They may always appear as a multiplet. So a signal will be split into multiplet. Is it clear? Now again, the fluorine nuclei may be coupled. There is a coupling between fluorine hydrogen, coupling between fluorine phosphorus, coupling between fluorine carbons are possible in the fluorine NMR. That is heteronuclear couplings are possible in fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Similar to proton, there may be geminal coupling, there may be vicinal coupling, and also long range couplings are possible in fluorine. Is it clear? Now we are under the study of coupling constant. What is coupling constant? The frequency difference between any two lines within one multiplet signal will be constant. Therefore, it is called as coupling constant. It is the measure of the coupling interactions between the nuclei. Now, in the proton NMR spectrum, we can observe only homonuclear coupling, whereas in the fluorine NMR spectrum, the heteronuclear couplings are possible. So whatever the type of coupling, either homo or heteronuclear, the signal always split into multiplets. Is it clear? Now coming to coupling constant. Again, similar to proton, geminal couplings are possible, vicinal couplings are possible, and long range couplings are also possible for fluorine nuclei to couple with the other spin active nuclei. But The coupling constants are very high when compared with the proton nuclei coupling constant for fluorine. So in the fluorine NMRs, the same phenomena. The coupling interactions are only heteronuclear coupling interactions we can observe in the fluorine. The coupling interaction may be possible between geminally attached or between vicinal fluorines and as well as the long range fluorines. What is the difference? The coupling constant is high when compared with the coupling constant which observed in the proton NMR spectroscopy. Examples. Say this is the system where attached the two fluorines if X and Y. Now these two fluorines are coupled with each other. If these two fluorines become non-equivalent, say F1, F2. If F1 is not equal to F2, under the conditions of non-equivalent, these two are coupled with each other. This coupling interaction is called as geminal coupling interaction. F1, first fluorine appear as doublet as 1 plus 1. Second fluorine is also appear as doublet 1 plus 1. So the two doublet signals are appear. This is F1 fluorine, say this is F2 fluorine. Two doublet signals are appear. Now this coupling constant is belonging to geminal coupling, therefore it is 2J. The 2J is equal to 45 Hz. 2J is equal to 45 Hz. It is so high when compared with the coupling constant which we observed in the proton NMR spectroscopy. Is it clear? Now similarly, vicinal couplings are also possible for fluorine, that is, this is the fluorine, the second fluorine. Now here this is vicinal coupling. What is vicinal coupling? Coupling interaction between the nuclei separated by 3 bonds. So all the story of types of couplings were completed in the first semester. Now this is vicinal coupling, 1 bond, 2 bond, 3 bond. This is also vicinal coupling, 1 bond, 2 bond, 3 bond. Say this is F1, this is F2. Fluorine 1, fluorine 2. In the same case, if F1 is not equal to F2, if these two fluorines are non-equivalent in a molecule, they are coupled. Now this is a vicinal coupling, in that it is called as trans coupling. It is called as trans coupling because the two fluorines are, however vicinal, the two fluorines are coupled with each other at opposite side. Therefore it is called as trans coupling. Now here, if F1 is not equal to F2 in the second case, if the two fluorines are non-equivalent, then coupled with each other, it is also vicinal coupling where the fluorines are coupled at the same side of the molecule. Therefore it is cis coupling. It is cis coupling. Now coming to coupling constant. Now here J trans is equal to 120 Hz. 120 Hz. J cis is equal to 61 Hz. 61 Hz. Where in the fluorine NMR, the geminal coupling constant will be the nearly 45 Hz. Cis coupling constant is nearly 60 Hz. Trans coupling constant is nearly 120 Hz. Now you make a differences. In the proton NMR spectrum, only homonuclear couplings are possible. In the fluorine NMR spectrum, both homonuclear as well as heteronuclear couplings are possible. Now, in the proton NMR spectrum, the coupling constant values are less, whereas in the fluorine NMR spectrum, the coupling constant are very high. Just now we have discussed the example. the geminal coupling. If the two fluorines are coupled with each other separated by two bonds are called as geminal coupling. The coupling constant will be nearly 45. Coming to the vicinal coupling, where the two fluorines if coupled at opposite side called as trans. If the two fluorines coupled at the same side called as cis coupling constant. The cis coupling constant is nearly 60, whereas trans coupling constant is nearly 120. Why trans coupling constant is more when compared with cis? We studied the mechanism of spin-spin coupling in the first semester, where in the cis couplings, where the bonding electrons are not in one plane, whereas in the trans coupling, the bonding electrons are exactly in the same plane, so that the nuclear spin transmission from one fluorine to other fluorine, if they are opposite side, is very convenient. So the nuclear spin is transmitted conveniently, so strongly coupled, hence the J value is more for trans. Whereas in the cis, where the bonding when the two fluorines are on the same side, there is an inter-electron repulsion between the two fluorine that resulted bending of the molecule. One fluorine moving above the plane, the other fluorine moves below the plane, so that the bonding electrons are not exactly or not perfectly in the plane. Hence the nuclear spin, however transmitted, somewhat difficulty to transmit from one fluorine to other fluorine in order to couple. Therefore the coupling constant. So the nuclear spins are less strongly interacted with each other in the case of cis. Therefore cis coupling constant is less. So this is about the coupling constant. Now its applications. Now we have to study about its application. Now application of fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Application of fluorine NMR spectroscopy. Now a few specific examples included in the syllabus, to which we have to apply fluorine NMR technique. Now we are going to discuss only those examples included in your syllabus for the study of fluorine NMR spectroscopy. First example, 1,2-dichloro, 1,1-difluoroethene, 1,1-difluoro, 1,2-dichloroethene. Once again, these are the examples included in the syllabus, so we are studying only those examples. Now its structure. 1,2-dichloro, 1,1-difluoro, 1,1-difluoroethane. This is the structure. This is the structure. Now here, these two fluorines are equivalent. The two fluorines are equivalent. The two fluorines are equivalent, coupled to hydrogen nuclear spin. The two fluorines are coupled with hydrogen nuclear spin, as hydrogen is spin active. Just now we discussed in the coupling constant, where the fluorine coupled with proton nuclei. So due to heteronuclear coupling, so this is heteronuclear coupling. Heteronuclear. Due to heteronuclear, the two equivalent protons coupled with two adjacent protons which are spin active through heteronuclear coupling. So what happens? One signal, two fluorines are equivalent, one signal is possible when these two fluorines coupled with the two hydrogen according to n+1 rule, that is 1 plus 2, 2 plus 1 is equal to a triplet. A triplet signal is up here. The two fluorine up here. As the two fluorines are equivalent, one signal is up here. Now these two fluorines, equivalent fluorines coupled with the two hydrogens, therefore 2 plus 1 its signal become a triplet of 1:2:1. A triplet signal is appear, a simple triplet signal is appear for two fluorines of 1,1 difluoro-dichloroethane with one signal. Now the other example BrF5, where Br is a central atom. It has a octahedral geometry. Br is a central atom. 5 fluorines attached as a ligand. Fluorine, 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 fluorine. Non-bonding electron, a pair of non-bonding electrons. It has a octahedral. BrF5 has a octahedral geometry. Is it clear? Now further, the fluorine, that is a ligand, a fluorine attached to a central atom if it is horizontally. So whatever the fluorines attached to the central bromine horizontally are called as equatorial. Equatorial, Fe, 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 Fe. Equatorial. Are you followed? A fluorines 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 fluorines attached with the central bromine horizontally. These horizontal attached ligands are called as equatorial. The fluorine or the ligand which attached to the central atom axially or vertically are called as axial. So this is one fluorine. 4 fluorines attached with central bromine equatorially or horizontally called as equatorial fluorines. This is one fluorine attached vertically to the central bromine called as axial fluorine. Is it clear? Now, so this molecule consists total 5 fluorines. Now 4 fluorines are equatorials, 1 fluorine is axial. So we would expect 2 signals, 1 signal for axial, 1 signal for equatorial. So we would expect, but at higher temperature it appears with 1 signal. At higher temperature, that is room temperature, it appears with 1 signal for 5 fluorines. Total number of fluorines are 5. What it indicated? At higher temperature, the axial fluorines get exchanged with equatorial. At higher temperature, the axial fluorines get exchanged with equatorial. Equatorial fluorine get exchanged with axial, so that all fluorines become equivalent, 1 signal appear. Now at lower temperature, you see what happens. When the temperature is decreased, at lower temperature, there is no exchange between axial and equatorial fluorine. That is, axial fluorine remain axial, equatorial fluorine remain equatorial at lower temperature. So in that case, axial become non-equivalent from equatorial. So axial and equatorial fluorines become non-equivalent, so that they are coupled. When they are equivalent, there is no coupling, a singlet signal appear. When the fluorines become non-equivalent, axial remain axial, equatorial remain equatorial at lower temperature. So under this condition, the fluorines becoming a non-equivalent, so that they are coupled with each other. Axial fluorine coupled with equatorial fluorine. How many equatorials are there? 4. 4 plus 1, what happens? Quintet. A quintet signal appear for axial. Now 4 equivalent fluorines coupled with 1 axial. 4 equivalent fluorines coupled with 1 axial, 1 plus 1 doublet. So there are 2 signals appear, one for axial, other for equatorial. Axial fluorine signal appear as quintet. Why it appear as quintet? Because it coupled with 4 equivalent, 4 equatorial fluorine. 4 plus 1, its signal become quintet. Now coming to equatorial fluorine signal, it coupled with all the four equivalent fluorines coupled with one axial 1 plus 1, a doublet signal appear. Now the axial fluorine signal always appear at downfield when compared with equatorial. Axial fluorine delta value is more when compared with the equatorial. Now the axial fluorine at downfield value appear as quintet 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is for axial fluorine. Now equatorial fluorine appear as a doublet. Now this is at low temperature, at lower temperature. Is it clear? Now at room temp. Now with respect to structure, there are two sets of fluorine, equatorial and axial. So we would expect the two signals. But when recorded the spectrum for the molecule at higher temperature, that is at room temperature, we will get only one signal. That indicates what? All fluorines are becoming equivalent. When all fluorines become equivalent, when there is exchange between axial and equatorial fluorine. So axial and equatorial fluorines get exchanged and becoming equivalent, hence one signal appear. When the temperature is decreased, so that is at lower temperature, what happens? At lower temperature, there is no exchange of axial to equatorial, equatorial to axial. So the fluorines become non-equivalent. So there are two sets of non-equivalent. Under non-equivalent condition, they are coupled with each other. So one axial fluorine coupled with four equatorial, hence appear as a quintet. Four equatorial fluorine coupled with one axial and hence appear as a doublet. So one quintet signal, one doublet signals are appear at a lower temperature. So this is the BRF5. Now other example, SF4. SF4 tetrafluorosulfide. Now this has trigonal bipyramidal structure where central atom is sulfur. Four fluorines are attached. Four fluorines are attached to the centrally sulfur through trigonal bipyramidal. Now this is non-bonding pair of sulfur, trigonal bipyramidal geometry. Now you see in the same, these two fluorines attached with sulfur horizontally, hence are equatorial. These two fluorines are equatorial, and these two fluorines attached with central sulfur vertically, hence these two fluorines are axial. Is it clear? So here two non-equivalent sets of fluorine. Two fluorines are axial, two fluorines are equatorial. So two signals are appear. Now axial fluorine coupled with two equatorial fluorines, 1 plus 2, it becomes triplet. It becomes triplet. Axial fluorine coupled with two equatorial fluorine, 2 plus 1, it is a triplet. In the same way, equatorial fluorine coupled with two axial fluorines, again it also become, the signal become triplet. So the two triplet signals are appear. One for axial fluorine, one for equatorial fluorine. Just now I told axial fluorine appear at downfield. So is it clear? So SF4 has a trigonal bipyramidal geometry where the four fluorine ligands attached with central atom. Now this is non-bonding pair of electrons of sulfur. So in this attachment, the two fluorine belongs to equatorial, the other two fluorine belongs to axial. The axial fluorine coupled with two equatorial fluorines, 1 plus 2, it becomes triplet. So axial fluorine appear as a triplet. In the same way, equatorial fluorines coupled with two axial, 1 plus 2, triplet. So there are two triplet signals appear for this molecule, SF4. Now coming to the other example, ClF3. ClF3 has the same geometry, trigonal, has the same geometry to that of SF4, trigonal bipyramidal, where here the central atom is chlorine, 3 fluorines. This is 1 fluorine, this is 2nd fluorine, this is 3rd fluorine. 3 fluorines attached to the chlorine, and these two are non-bonding pair of chlorine. Non-bonding pair of chlorine. So it has a distorted trigonal bipyramidal geometry. These are the two non-bonding pair. Now this is the fluorine horizontally attached, hence it is equatorial. These two are the fluorines vertically attached, hence these two are axial. So there are two sets of non-equivalent fluorine, axial fluorine and equatorial fluorine. Two signals appear. The axial fluorine coupled with 1 equatorial fluorine, hence doublet. Hence doublet. 1 equivalent fluorine coupled with 2 axial fluorine. Are you following? Axial fluorine coupled with 1 equatorial fluorine. 1 plus 1, its signal is doublet. Axial fluorine signal is doublet. Equatorial fluorine coupled with 2 axial fluorines. So 1 plus 2, its signal is triplet. So equatorial fluorine appear as triplet, axial fluorine appear as doublet. This is doublet signal for axial fluorine, triplet signal for equatorial fluorine. FA, axial fluorine signal, equatorial fluorine signal. So this is the NMR, fluorine NMR spectrum for ClF3 molecule. Other example, PF5. PF5, pentafluorophosphate. Now it has the same geometry, trigonal bipyramidal. Pentafluorophosphorus, trigonal bipyramidal geometry, where the central atom is phosphorus. 5 fluorines are surrounded. 5 fluorines are surrounded. Now you see 1, 2, 3 fluorines are attached horizontally, therefore equivalent. These 2 fluorines are attached with phosphorus vertically, therefore axial. Is it clear? Now 2 axial fluorine, 3 equatorial fluorines. Now here in this case, the fluorine I is equal to 1 by 2, phosphorus I is equal to 1 by 2. 19 fluorine, 31 phosphorus. Now in this example, the phosphorus nuclei is also spin active. Phosphorus nuclei also spin active. Therefore, a fluorine coupled with phosphorus. Now there are 2 sets of fluorines, 3 equatorial fluorine, 2 axial fluorines. Now in this case, the phosphorus nuclei is also spin active. Therefore, a fluorine nuclear spin coupled with phosphorus nuclear spin. Now let us see, 2 signals appear. Let us see what is the multiplicity. Now you can see axial fluorine coupled with 3 equatorial fluorines. Axial fluorine coupled with 1, 2, 3 equatorial fluorines and was 1 phosphorus. Are you following? An axial fluorine, we are looking the multiplicity for axial. So axial fluorine coupled with 3 equatorial fluorines and also phosphorus. So axial fluorine coupled with how many nuclei? 3 equatorial fluorine, 1 phosphorus. So 4 plus 1, it become quintet. So axial fluorine appear as quintet. Why it is quintet? It coupled with 3 fluorine, 1 phosphorus. That is axial fluorine coupled with 4 nuclei. 3 are belongs to fluorine, 1 belongs to phosphorus. So 4 plus 1, it is quintet. Is it clear? Now coming to equatorial signal. The equatorial fluorine coupled with two axial fluorine and phosphorus. So equatorial fluorine coupled with how many other nuclei? 2 are axial, 1 is phosphorus. So it totally coupled with 3 nuclei. 3 plus 1, quartet. Quartet. So axial fluorine appear as quintet. Equatorial fluorine appear as quartet. Why quartet? It coupled with 2 axial fluorine, 1 phosphorus. 2, that is totally it coupled with 3 nuclei. 3 plus 1, it is quartet. So axial quintet 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Axial quintet. Now equatorial quartet. Equatorial quartet. Is it clear? Now this is the spectrum Fa, Fe, Fa, Fe. The same molecule when we record at room temperature, that is higher temperature, it appear a fluorine signal, one signal is appeared. When the same molecule when recorded at room temperature, only one signal is appeared irrespective of axial and irrespective of equatorial fluorine. That is, one signal is appear because all the fluorines are become equivalent, where axial get exchanged with equatorial get exchanged with axial at higher temperature. So all the fluorines become equivalent, one signal appear. So all fluorines coupled with 1 phosphorus. So 1 plus 1, it appear as a doublet. One signal is appear as a doublet. One signal is appear as a doublet. Why it is appear as a doublet? At room temperature, axial equatorial fluorines are rapidly exchanged that make all fluorines become equivalent. So 5 fluorines become equivalent. Is it clear? Now all the 5 fluorines when become equivalent and coupled with 1 phosphorus, 1 plus 1, it appear as a doublet. One signal appear as a doublet at the room temperature. Now at lower temperature, there is no exchange. When there is no exchange, axial and equatorial fluorines become non-equivalent. 2 signals appear. 2 signals with 1 quintet and quartet appear. Axial appear as a quintet. Why it is appear as a quintet? Because it coupled with 3 equatorial fluorine, 1 phosphorus. 4 plus 1, quintet. Equatorial fluorine appear as a quartet. Why? Because it coupled with 2 axial, 1 phosphorus. 3 plus 1, a quartet. This is happened. This is the spectrum at lower temperature. Is it clear? Now you have a last example. IF5. IF5 molecule, pentafluoroiodine. Now it has a octahedral geometry like pentafluorobromide. Here pentafluoroiodide. Octahedral geometry where central atom is iodine. Fluorine, 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 non-bonding electrons. These 4 fluorines are equatorial. 4 fluorines are equatorial. This fluorine is axial. Is it clear? Now, axial fluorine coupled with 1, 2, 4 equatorial fluorines, hence it is quintet. 4 plus 1, quintet. Equatorial fluorine coupled with 1 axial fluorine, so that equatorial fluorine signal appear as doublet. Axial fluorine quintet, equatorial fluorine doublet. Fa, Fe. this is the simple spectrum for IF5. So it has the similar to BRF5. It has octahedral geometry where the 4 fluorines attached horizontally called as equatorial fluorines. One fluorine is attached with central iodine vertically it is called as axial. So one axial fluorine coupled with 4 equatorial fluorines, 1 plus 4, it appear as a quintet. One signal appear with the multiplicity of quintet, where the 4 equatorial fluorines are coupled only with one axial fluorine. Therefore, according to n plus 1, 1 plus 1, it doublet. So equatorial fluorine signal appear in the spectrum as a doublet. Now, now the last molecule, HF2 minus. HF2 minus. Central atom is hydrogen, 2 fluorines as ligand. HF2 minus. Now here, this is HF2 minus. Now here, no, it is not HF2, it is only one fluorine, FH2 minus. Central atom is fluorine, 2 hydrogens attached. Now, only one fluorine, one signal appear. It coupled with this hydrogen and also this hydrogen. So one fluorine coupled with the 2 hydrogen, hence a triplet appear. A triplet signal appear. A triplet signal, a simple one signal with a triplet appear for one fluorine. This is FH2 minus, not HF2, FH2 minus. Central atom is fluorine, it has a linear geometry. Central atom is fluorine, coupled with both side protons. There are 2 protons, 1 plus 2, its signal appear as a triplet. A simple triplet is appeared. So these are the examples included in your syllabus. What are the examples we discussed? One is BRF5, other one is SF4, the other one is CLF3, the other one is IF5, and the other one is FH2. So only these examples included in the syllabus of fluorine NMR spectrum. So while studying these examples, we observed that the fluorine signal is appear as a multiplet due to coupling with other fluorine, homonuclear coupling, and fluorine multiplicity observed due to coupling with hydrogen. Here hydrogen coupling, this is heteronuclear coupling. In the previous example where PF5, where the fluorine coupling is observed and fluorine phosphorus coupling is also observed. So in the fluorine NMR spectra, the signal multiplicity may be due to homonuclear coupling as well as sometimes due to heteronuclear coupling. So with this, now under the fluorine NMR, you have to study only principle, chemical shift, coupling constant, and applications. So principle is the same. The chemical shift values are also same, but the value is different. The chemical shift presentation is same, but the scale extension is different, 0.02 plus 500 minus 500. Coupling constant, the concept of coupling constant is same. The only difference is heteronuclear coupling and higher coupling constant when compared with the proton. And applications, under the applications we have to study the NMR spectrum of a specified examples in the syllabus. So with this, the fluorine NMR spectroscopy chapter topics or contents are completed. Now there are 2 leftover topics. One is phosphorus NMR, the other one is solid state NMR. So in the next class I can cover the both topics. Thank you.